going to talk through a passage from Vivaldi's Spring Concerto from the Four Seasons. This is in the first movement of Spring, measure 47 if you have the music. And I'm playing this in a week with an orchestra, and so I better be able to do it. But I've assigned it to a lot of students and they've struggled. So what I'm going to do is play it, and then I'll talk through briefly what I'm thinking as I navigate this. And hopefully, even if you don't play this piece, it will just show you how I'm thinking about patterns to help play in tune. Okay? Here we go, measure 47. Alright, so this piece is in E major, which is E, F sharp, G sharp, A, B, C sharp, D sharp, E. And what I'm going to do is do this from the highest point of the passage that I just played, coming down. Let me look at my music here. It starts measure 51. So the first note of each group of 6 is the one I'm playing here. So first I'm going to play the E. Let's see if I can set my hand up so you can see it. And then I'm going to go down to a D sharp. Where am I? And then I'm going to go down to a C sharp, which is a whole step, down to a B, down to an A, and then a G sharp. So I think half step, whole step, whole step, whole step, half step. And you should be able to do that before you can go on. Now I would want to think about what the 3 will be doing. So the second note on each group of 6 is what we're dealing with here. I'm at this point thinking about the distance from 1 to 3. So I think 2 whole steps there. It's not really 2 whole steps, it's across 2 different strings. I'm going from the E string over to the A string. And I'm not even putting 2 down, but I'm thinking space, space. So then I shift down that half step. If I leave my 3 in the same place, it would be the wrong note. So I have to bring it down a half step. So my hand pattern now from 1 to 3 is half step, whole step. Then I shift down that whole step, and my hand pattern didn't change. Then I shift down the whole step, but my hand pattern does change back to space, space. Then I shift down a half step, a whole step, again, whole step, or space, space, across 2 strings. You'll notice my 2 isn't even pressing the string down, but I'm still measuring. Then I do the half step shift, and I have to bring my 3 down, so it's there, and I'm thinking space, no space. From 1 to 2 space, 2 to 3, no space. And then I stay there. Okay? After I have that, go back to the high E. I have to think about the top note. So in the first one, 3 just goes straight across. Then I shift down that half step, low 3, and then my 4 feels like, now it's up high, but it still feels like there's a space. That is, I'm turning so you can see it, that is not a half step. That is a whole step pattern from 3 to 4. Now it's across A string to E string, so it's not really a whole step. It's a 6, but feels like a whole step. Same thing on this one. This one here feels like a half step. This one feels like a whole step. Feels like a whole step. The 4 didn't change. Feels like a whole step, and then we resolve. Okay? So you have to know the distance traveled down with the 1, you have to know the intervals and the hand patterns to the 3, and then the spacing from 3 up to the 4. And then you get into the string crossings. But you know what? The string crossings aren't nearly as hard as playing it in tune. Most of my students, when they get to the bottom of this passage, they're sharp. They didn't get all the way down. So practice it slowly if you're doing this. If you're not playing this piece, think about what we just did there and apply it. Even if I'm not putting all my fingers down on a simple piece, I might still be thinking, okay, 1 to 2 is a half step in this key signature, 2 to 3 is a whole step in this key signature. That would help me measure the distance from 1 to 3. Before you know it, it becomes second nature and automatic. And always check with open strings if you know it's matched. Now I have a whole series of videos on how to play in tune, and we talk about some of those things in there. We talk about all those things in there. But this was just an example from a passage that is quite challenging, and it was also a good exercise for me to see if I could play it for you, okay? Hope things are going great, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.